Shabbat Shalom for all of you from Israel. My name is Rabbi Yitzhak Shapira. I'm the founder of Ahavat Ammi Ministries and Yeshiva Tshuva. And I am today with two of my students. One of them just got raptured, but he will be back in a moment, hopefully. They are both in ministry. They're both here serving. One in the US and one in Israel. And today, you know what they say, the two are better than one, three are better than the two. Today, Torah portion will be amazing. Amazing. We're getting ready for Shabbat in Israel. I'm going to be teaching, by the way, from Ashdod in about 2.5 hours. Tune in live. It's going to be live stream. Exciting thing. I want to thank you for your support of the work among the Russian Jewish speakers here in the land. We just crossed 100 students of Russian language. This is a big achievement. We are very, very excited by this. This is a huge moment for us. But before we get moving, I want to introduce to everybody here our guest today for Pearls of Torah. We're in Deuteronomy, very important time. So first of all, I'm turning to our guest. This is your home also. So Dvorah Kalik, it's so good to have you with us from Blessed Israel Network. Tell us what's happening in Blessed Israel Network real quick. Everybody should know about this awesome ministry.
A shorter question would be what isn't happening.
What isn't happening?
So there's a lot happening. We're going to be recording 2 new episodes of Revelation to the Nations next week.
We are highly recommend. You want to connect with the pulse of Messianic Jews here in the land? This is a good place to go. How do they get a hold of you?
Just go to www.blessedisraelnetwork.com, and there you can connect to our YouTube page and our Facebook page and our YouTube channel.
Amazing ministry. You should go run, support, and check out the things that they are doing. Love the work that is done here out of Haifa throughout the land of Israel. And to the left of mine, I have the good Floridian, Pastor Matt McEwen, Mr. Kosher Pastor. What's going on with you? Sit back a little bit, relax. You're live. Okay, here we go. So what? It's been a rough week in Israel?
No, it hasn't been rough. It's been busy.
It's been busy.
We've been busy about the work of the kingdom, about filming this amazing series of courses for Kosher Pastor, but they've been so good and so much revelation that you have asked my opinion if I think they should be maybe an elective for the whole yeshiva, because there's so much depth that we're getting to here.
There is so much depth, and I am really, truly, indeed excited about the work that is done here in this couple of weeks out of Israel, right? So people should know we uncovered big things.
Huge things. Because, Rabbi, people will try to tell us that Messianic Jews were not around after a certain period of time. After the 1st century, maybe after the early 2nd century, Messianic Judaism wasn't a thing. Everybody just went straight to Christianity, and they didn't retain their Jewishness. And that's just not true. And we have found so many hard, factual evidences, archaeological.
Not just we, the people who went along with us.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's really been an eye-opening experience for them, and they live here.
Yeah, that has been fantastic. Now, the thing, Matt, that everybody should know is, this is an important announcement. We record for the yeshiva, but there's been a couple of things that have been discovered that we felt passionately we need to bring to the surface to the world.
Yes.
So today, right before the Shabbat, your time, the very first episode will be released. We call it in the footsteps of ancient Messianic Jews. Now, we offer a complete course on the footsteps of ancient Messianic Jews in our yeshiva, but we're put together for you first and second lessons completely free in our YouTube channel. Make sure you go to your YouTube channel, Ahavat Ammi, subscribe, you get it. The worldwide premiere is tonight, and tomorrow there will be the second episode. Those two are absolutely shocking.
Shocking is an understatement.
Yeah, well, I always say shocking, but this is really shocking.
Yeah.
You know, I want to talk about why we're here. We're to discuss the Torah portion today. And it's interesting because we are this week in Parashat Ki Tetse. We're talking about Moses' personal diary. Moses is preparing Israel for his departure. Really, that's what mostly he's doing. He's preparing Israel for his departure. He's preparing them as a people. He's preparing for the next round of leadership, etc., etc. I want to show the people because I think I want to start with a brief story. Pastor Matt, do you mind grabbing here the scroll behind me? This is something very special I want to show our viewers. What I have here in my hand, is a very, very rare scroll, if you can see it. It's about 400 years old scroll of Jeremiah. I've been praying for this for over 15, 20 years. And the Lord provided us right before this week an opportunity to do that. The reason I'm telling you this is because we're going to go through the book of Jeremiah, specifically through the book of Jeremiah from the Kotel. We're going to open the scroll in the Kotel. Do you know how amazing it's going to be? And we're going to teach straight from the scroll. All the Nevuah. Everybody know about Jeremiah 31, but there is many, many other. Jeremiah 23, Jeremiah 2. There are many. And we're going to open the scroll and we're going to teach this thing in a worldwide event. It's coming for you. And the reason we are doing it is related to the Torah portion this week. This week, you know, it's interesting. We took this scroll today. Today we took this scroll to Nazareth, to the synagogue where it's believed that Yeshua himself read from Isaiah, you know, in Luke chapter 4, and we hit a serious spiritual war.
Yeah.
Spiritual war, to the point that the guy would refuse to let us in when he saw the Torah. I opened the Torah to Jeremiah 31, and I start to read it and prophesying over him this verse, and I spoke about this verse and what does it mean to the house of Israel. And the guy got scared. And as he's getting scared, what ended up happening, he didn't know what to do. So he said, okay, I'm going to open the place for you. And we won, and we were able to do some filming and definitely talk from there, and it was a spiritual victory. Matt, do you realize it was a spiritual victory today?
Yes, it was. Yeah, and even though these people and Rabbi, they were being very anti-Semitic. Yeah, and even though they were being anti-Semitic and adversarial toward us,
without any doubt.
Right, but the Lord still granted us favor. And after we had to have this confrontation with this man, we're having this confrontation with this older man. He's asking, why is a Jew coming to this place?
What does a Jew have to teach?
What does a Jew have to teach us about Yeshua?
Right.
You know,
and
it was absolutely...
We're going back and forth with this man, and then we realize after about 5 or 10 minutes of talking to him that he's the gatekeeper.
Yep.
He's the one who has
we didn't realize he had the key. Wow. And he refused to let the Jew come. He said, there's no synagogue here. What are you talking about?
Wow. And you said it says synagogue, right?
Synagogue, yeah.
Basically try to evaporate in wider. So we had a spiritual confrontation.
But in the end,
it was not a physical. He let us in.
He let us in.
Reading from
Jeremiah.
I
opened the scroll like this to his face and said, "You want
word of Hashem."
Yeah. Are you? It was this. So no. I agree with the word. So open the thing. Open the thing. You know.
If I were him, I would have been scared too.
So this week, the reason I'm talking about this is this week we're Parashat Ki Tetse.
Yes.
What is the headline, Dvorah? What is the headline of the... By the way, before we talk, if you're watching us right now, I want you to hit share right now. I want to get to 100 share on this shiur. This shiur is going to be explosive. We need you right now to hit the share and like. We brought you fantastic revelation today. So what is the headline of this shiur today?
Well, before we get into that, I just want to mention what I mentioned to you, which of course you already know.
Yep.
This is the Torah portion that has the most mitzvot. There are 27 positive mitzvot and 47 prohibitions.
So 74 complete mitzvot.
Yeah.
The one question I wanted to put in the back of your mind, why there are so many mitzvot in this Torah portion? It's a very important question to ask. 74 out of the 613 are in this Torah portion.
Amen.
Okay. Give me the headline, if you were to give me a sentence or two headlines of this Torah portion, what would it be?
This is about us being at war. And it is an internal war and an external war.
I want to talk about this. Let's bless and let's go straight to the text today together. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו לעסוק בדברי תורה.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. So, if you don't mind following with the English, and I will read a couple of verses in the Hebrew, and we're going to really stick today with the beginning of the portion, which is 21, starting in verse 10. He says in Hebrew, כי תצא למלחמה על אויביך, ונתנו אדוני אלוהיך בידך, ושבית שביו. Verse 10, let's read it in English.
When you will go out to war against your enemies, and Hashem your God will deliver him into your hand, and you will capture his captivity.
Why does he speaking about going to war? This is something we need to talk about. Why is he speaking about when you go to war?
Well, of course, in the Peshat,
Let's stay with the Pashat. Why is he even bringing up the principle? Hey, we're going to go to war. Well, why is he talking about?
Because the children of Israel are commanded to conquer the land of Israel, to take it from their enemies and give it for them to live in, and so that they can serve God in that land. That's the ultimate purpose of going.
Actually, Kevin, bring the ball, and he said the word "ki" is when and not if. Actually, Kevin, the word "when" "ki" can be when or if.
Yeah.
It can be both. It can be both. The word "ki." Matt, do you have any thought of why is he talking about going to war? They are clearly not in war.
No,
it seems like a hypothetical situation.
Yeah, but they're going to be. They're going to be in war, and I have something on a little bit deeper level, but I don't know if you want to go there yet.
Okay, in a minute we'll get it. The bottom line is I want to say something about the book of Deuteronomy called Mishneh Torah. Moses, this is the practical guide.
Exactly.
You know, if Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers were a theoretical guide, the book of Deuteronomy is a practical guide. Everybody needs to understand it. He is telling them, hey, you are going to be in war. I am preparing you for conduct. But think about it. Are they in the land?
Yes.
They're not in the land.
Yet. No.
The land represents the Olam Haba, right? Everybody understand it.
Right.
The land represents the Geulah, that they enter in the Olam Haba. And people think about it. Wow, what are we going to do in the Olam Haba? What are we going to do in the world? We're going to work.
We're going to be very busy.
We are going to be very, very busy. People ask,
busy than we are now.
people ask the question all the time, what are we going to do when Mashiach is here? Well, when Mashiach is here, we're still going to work. We're going to be laboring. But he's talking to them here in a way that they think and they look at that and they say, oh, I am preparing you for the future. But the future does not start tomorrow. The future starts right here and right now. This is important because, you know, we talked about, you and I have been in the Maimonides synagogue, and of course we saw the gravesite.
Yeah.
And we saw the famous, the Ani Ma'amin. ואף על פי שיתמהמה יחכה לו כל שיבוא. Although I will wait for him to coming. Well, the waiting for him to come means that you live as he is here now.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I am living as I am in war.
That's right.
And I want to say this especially for you. I want to ask you this question about Israel. How much wars are happening here today? Spiritual war. You know, we're talking about physical war. Next week we're going to an election.
Right.
Probably
That's kind of war.
the most critical election in Jewish history, probably since 1948, is next week. But how much of a war is happening here?
Well, there, of course, we have literal wars. We have rockets that Hamas and Hezbollah send over into to try to attack our soldiers and innocent citizens. However, what I feel here, being in the land, is there is a huge spiritual war on a few fronts.
Okay.
One is against Christianity.
Okay.
And we're going to talk more about that. The whole idea of Christianity being anti-Semitic, what you experience today
So it's a religion.
in Nazaret,
Yeah.
it's an anti-Jewish spirit.
Okay.
We have it somewhat in Messianic Judaism as well, because they don't realize how much influence they are with Christianity, and that is, anything that's anti-rabbinical, anti-Torah, anti-keeping the mitzvot today. And then we have our own personal war with people who disagree with us.
So there's a war within and there's a war without. There are two different. There is a war from the externalities.
Yes.
But we also know that the real more dangerous war is the war that is happening inside. So here it says, Ki Tetse LaMilchama, as you go out to the war, V'natnu Adonai Elohecha biyadav shavit tishivah. So you took the captive, right?
Right.
And then read verse 11.
Okay.
וראית בשביה אשת יפת תואר וחשקת בה ולקחת אותה לך לאישה.
And you will see among the captivity a woman who is beautiful of form, and you will desire her. You may take her to yourself for a wife.
Before we move on from verse 10, can I bring up one thing here? When you talk about, how interesting is it that we talk about this internal war and this spiritual war, and we're reading this today and what happened in Nazareth, this spiritual war that
Not by accident.
No,
not by accident. But this is this Torah portion, of course.
But what we decided to do is that we were not going to retaliate against these people. There were people, even the people that didn't talk to us directly, people driving by and walking by,
but
they see we're holding the scroll and they're cursing us. They're cursing us. But
my question is, are we in a war if we don't retaliate?
Well, but here's what Rabbi Yisrael Baal Shem Tov says. Also from one's spiritual enemies, one must capture captives. Anything negative in man or in the world can be exploited for the good if one learns how to derive from it a lesson in the service of the Creator. To me, what this is totally Romans 8:28 about how Hashem can work anything for good if we are loving Him and if we are following Him. So even this negative stuff, we can even take some good from what happened today. You even said, even though there was this horrible anti-Semitic spirit outside the synagogue in Nazareth where Yeshua declared himself the Messiah, inside that synagogue, you felt the Kedusha in there.
There was a Kedusha inside, but you see something very interesting. We have to overcome the Klippa.
Yes.
And that's a difficult thing to do. Because you see, here it says, when you go out, Kitze, which is very, very offensive.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. You are going out to war.
You're being active.
You are being active. You're seeking a battle. But then when the battle started, you not always react. It's a bit like this. That's what's happened today.
Right.
We did not react in a way
we had to take
the world tell us to react.
That's right.
But I would say we are still in a battle. We're still fighting a battle.
But you're fighting it differently.
We are fighting it differently.
You didn't retaliate and you could have gotten angry with the man and, screamed and walked away, stomped away, but you didn't.
We have
the scroll.
We have here a recipe for how to fight a spiritual battle.
Yeah.
First of all, understand you're going out. If you're waiting for God to test you, why Yeshua said don't wait for the test. On the opposite, if you go on the offensive, well, Satan will not test you because you are already on the offensive. This war is continuous war.
And that's what...
And one more thing, just one second. You can expect to win the war.
Yes.
So many believers go into spiritual war and they don't expect to win the battles.
Right.
They have a bunch of defeated prayer and defeated thing, and then they're not being defeated. And believer can be defeated.
Right.
You can be a believer and be defeated.
Yeah, I know Devorah is going to bring up something from the Orach Chaim, and one thing that he says is sometimes the most holy soul can be imprisoned inside the Kippah. Imprisoned. And so we need to take the captive that the enemy...
Now notice what happened here with the captive. It's very good.
Exactly.
And you brought in, I want everybody, this is a great prophecy, a great prophetic word. והביאתה אל תוך ביתך. You brought her inside the house and you shaved her head and then did the nails. And you took their garment that she was captured in.
Right. Well, because the women would seduce men with their beautiful, ornate garments.
Yes, and she cried for how long?
A month.
A month. Now, it's interesting, Rabbi Mizrahi, not Rabbi Yosef Mizrahi, Rabbi Mizrahi says that this is speaking about the 30 days of Elul.
Exactly.
It's speaking about the month of Elul.
Ahavat said that as well.
Yeah, this is very important to talk about because we are in the month of Elul. And one of the things we have to do in the month of Elul is really evaluating is the things we see in the world are real. In essence, we're seeing here something that I don't know if you catch. But Baal HaTurim says something very, very interesting on this land. He says, look, at the beginning, he says, when you go to war on your enemies, right? Mm-hmm. But he says the word oivecha is missing here and yod.
Oh, yes.
This is very, very important. It is missing the letter yod, which is speaking about a single enemy.
Wow.
It is not,
So
the Baal HaTurim says he's not talking about enemies.
No, talking about one enemy.
Enemy.
What's our greatest enemy?
Who is your greatest enemy that he's talking about? Friends, I'm telling you, this isn't important.
Yetzer Hara.
It's you. Who is the battle against is you. You remember the Midrash that says on Jacob, Akol kol Yaakov Yadem Yadei Esav. The voice is the voice of Jacob and the hand of Esau. When Jacob prayed, Esau collapsed. And when Yaakov stopped praying, Esau flourished. The battle that is taking place here is an inner battle inside a person. The very first thing you have to understand is that you're in a war. Especially here in Israel. You know, I talked to my brother yesterday, Gilad, here in Israel. He said, you have no idea what kind of spiritual war every day in existence it is as Messianic Jews, especially here in the Galilee, in a place Yeshua lived. This is very, very important. Okay? So there's a war here. It's a spiritual war.
That's right.
The question we have to ask ourselves, how do we win this war?
Well, and it's interesting that you mentioned that about ourselves and that inner struggle and the Yetzer Hara, Yetzer Tov. The Hasidic masters say that the phrase "on your enemies" can also be understood in the literal sense of on top of your enemies. That as we see all over Israel here, you've pointed out to me, do you see that city on top of the mountain? Do you see that they have the high ground? That's the best place to have the higher ground. And so what the Hasidic masters say is the best way to achieve the victory is to have the higher ground. Because if one is something that the sages said, one who wrestles with a filthy person will also become dirtied. We don't want to stoop to the level of our Yetzer Hara. Rather, we want to try to lift ourselves up, to raise to that higher ground.
This is an important thing to think about, especially in the month of Elul. In essence, the woman represent the world in some way. It represents the world. Now, it doesn't say, it's interesting, it doesn't say to the man not to be in the world. In essence, not to be with, that's what it says. Think about the word of Yeshua. We talked about John 15.
Right, yes.
What did Yeshua say? How did he say? 17 and 15.
He's praying to Hashem, and he's saying, he's talking about protecting us who are in the world, but they are not of the world, just like I am not of the world. Speaking of himself.
Yeah.
So we have to be in the world. We live in the world. This is the world of Asiyah. This is the world of doing. This is the world of the mitzvot. This is the only way that we can make tikkun for ourselves, our
And he
souls.
didn't say there is a problem with the desire.
Right.
Desire, you see things in the world. It's not an issue of the desire.
No, it's not the desire. It's when it gets out of control.
So God, for instance, says there's no problem with money. There says there's a problem with the love of money.
Exactly.
There is a difference here.
We cannot, our Yetzer Hara wants us to be, it wars against us to be like an animal. Matt, do you want to talk about what I shared earlier about milchama and lechem? Okay, so the word lechem is in the middle of milchama.
Interesting.
war.
So you gain the bread through the battle.
Right, we do gain bread through the battle, but the other issue with we're talking about here is, are we going to go after our food ravenously and out of control like an animal? Will we be gluttons? Or will we instead eat only what's good and healthy for us to nourish our bodies so that we can serve Hashem?
So here you remember, behold, everything I created for you, and He placed us in the garden, right?
Right.
So He's putting us in the garden, and here you see the same type of principle. He says, okay, and then you brought her to your house.
Right.
In essence, there could be a benefit here, but only if you stripped out the world
Right.
of the things that are what we call gashmiim or the physical, and we focus on the things that are the spiritual things.
Right.
Okay, so here we see the woman that we're bringing in, and it's the first thing you do: shave her head,
Cut her nails.
cut her nail, take off the garment.
This is like removing the klippah.
That is exactly what it is. It's representing here the removing the klippah of the physical thing, and it's talking about the fact you want to win the battle truly and not to be captured.
Yeah.
You know, we have this week Benny Hinn making an announcement about the prosperity gospel.
Right. He's renounced the prosperity gospel.
What an amazing thing that is.
That is amazing.
You know, so we're starting to see things for what they are.
Yeah.
And this is significant because he says, because if not, the man might get blinded.
That's right.
He might get blinded and fall for the things of the world.
And of course, this in the Peshat, this woman, she is a non-Jew, and I think about,
So wait, we can talk about it in the term of, before we talk about the Jew and non-Jew, because you see here a completely bigger picture. But what make the man complete here? Clearly the woman. Well, what make Yaakov complete if you think about Yaakov?
Israel.
Esau. Yaakov is Israel.
Right. Yeah.
What make Yaakov complete is Esau. Yaakov cannot step up to the plate without Esau. He cannot. He would never step up. He would never take the steps in faith and in courage if it's not Esau there to push him into the corner.
Yeah.
But before he can do those things, he can complete, he really has to come to the point that he can strip out, in essence, Esau, so they can become like this one new creation.
Yes.
So who is Esau? Well, Esau is a representative of Christianity. Does the Jew need to fight against the Christian? And the answer is, oh yeah.
The theology.
Yeah, when I'm talking about, he has to be in a spiritual. We're talking about a spiritual battle. You have to be in a spiritual battle, in essence, within, in order to have this union, this one new man. You know, everybody talking about the one new man. Well, how do we get to one new man? Okay, Matt, I want to be one new man with you. I invite you to my house. Well, what do you do if you come to my house?
Well,
You're going to pick up your habits that you brought with you from your own home.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Right. If we want to be one new man, if I'm a guest in your house, I don't want to try to bring my ways to you. I'm the guest.
Exactly.
I want
You
to try
have
to
to follow
adopt
his ways.
your ways. Yeah.
That's right.
But here is the challenge. And this is the number one challenge in Messianic Judaism, especially, I would say, in the land of Israel. We want to be loving on the Gentiles because we're getting support from the Gentiles and we're getting prayers from the Gentiles. So we say to the Gentiles, come as you are to the house of Israel.
Right.
You know that is actually going to bring a destruction. That's bring a destruction, because the worst message that we can bring to the Gentiles today
is to say you don't need to change.
You don't need to change. You don't need to do anything.
It's not true.
Stay as it's not true.
They have to take on a Jewish identity, just as
The woman here has to go.
Exactly.
This period of 30 years, 30 days, is a period of taking. Listen to this. This is amazing. This is from Orach Chaim, our reading this. He said, I believe the clue on this verse, on the woman. He said, I believe that the clue of understanding to this all legislation is to be found in the Zohar Chadash Parashat Balak. We are told there that at the time that Adam sinned, many souls were originated in the holy spheres, were taken captive by the spiritually negative forces known as Sitra Achera. It's like the shell of Hasatan. That's the best way to think about it. It truly is. These souls are the ones of people who voluntarily converted to Judaism. Since that time, many outstanding Jews have come from such conversions, such as Ruth, the Moabite. In essence, if a Gentile can break through the klipa of this, like this woman.
Well, it's like all our old life, our old practices, non-Jewish practices, pagan practices, etc., etc.
But you know what's interesting of what's going on here with the woman is that, so yes, we have this woman, we've taken her in, but...
Well, let's not first of all taking her in. Let's set something very, very clear. A Jewish person who is a follower of Messiah, who not taking the Gentile, is a sinner, is a criminal.
Yes.
Right.
Our spiritual war is found and won when we bring the Gentiles here.
Right.
I want everybody to make it the point loud again. We do need to bring the Gentiles here. There is no doubt about it.
Yep.
The question is, how do we bring them in?
And not only how, but what we see in them. We must follow this advice from the Rabbi Yisrael Baal Shem Tov, which says we have to see the good that's in there.
That's right.
We have to put away the bad. It's almost like we have to see the potential.
Yes.
You know, it's like Yeshua called Kepha Petrus, before he was strong like a rock. He saw the potential.
Yeah.
He called him a rock before he was a rock.
You saw potential.
He saw the potential. So we have to...
And the man see the potential in this woman.
Yes.
Yeah, but here's the thing. He see her potential, but he is not fooled by her look.
Exactly.
He is not fooled. We can look at Christianity. You know, yesterday I went to Migdal. And I looked, and I hope nobody, if a Catholic watch me, nobody will be offended by this. They took us to this many $million these things. And they build this sanctuary and they build those places of worship. And I'm like, oh, don't you feel the holiness here? And you know, I think to myself, no, I don't. It's a beautiful building. But this is the woman looking beautifully.
Exactly.
And this is the issue, especially in Messianic Judaism. We look at the church and we see all the wealth and all the resources and all the wonderful things, and we think, oh, we want to be like the church. No, we don't.
And how interesting is it that this week, for this Torah portion, this is when even when people inside the church who are enamored of that wealth or whatever, people like Benny Hinn that are now renouncing it and saying this prosperity gospel is not of the Lord. It's just, it grieves the Holy Spirit.
And you know, I just want to say there's some sad things that happened this past week. There are, because of the emptiness, people who have been in Christianity, who are leaders, they feel the emptiness. They feel something is missing.
Yes.
I knew something was missing.
And the reason that we see more and more Gentiles who are waking up right now, because they say, oh, I have seen all the glamour that Christianity after, but inside of it is void. It is emptiness. It's
not based on the Torah.
Yeah.
And why do you think there are 74 mitzvot? You're starting to answer your own question.
Because it is the mitzvot that change us.
That's the weapon.
How we fight the Yetzer Hara.
So let's make organization. We see here the word Ovecha talking about the individual, maybe the Jew who have to fight against himself in the way he perceived. Again, Torah is prophecy, the way he perceived the Gentile. We need to win the Gentiles to the Lord. It is not the Gentiles who need to win it. We need to win it. The Messianic Jewish movement. That is our call as Messianic Jews to win the Gentiles and to engraft them to the house of Israel.
This is what you've done for me and Matt.
Yes.
And Matt, would you agree that you love Yeshua now more than ever?
Not less.
Yes,
yeah,
more.
Yeah.
So,
there is no way we can do this without Yeshua.
So when verse 10 to verse 14, you see a picture of the engrafting of the nations to Israel. This is very, very powerful.
Yes.
First of all, I want you to notice something. I'm coming back to one thing. It says, now he says he's taking her to a bride, but not immediately.
Right.
Right.
So he's already see the potential. And that is important. I want to say it doesn't matter where you at,
That's right.
where you're coming from, you're Catholic, you're not Catholic, it doesn't matter. It just matter, we always say it, especially in our yeshiva, where you're heading to.
That's right.
Where is it that you are heading to?
Right.
I hope it is to Jerusalem, up to Jerusalem. Now, what is he doing? He's bringing her to the house. Now, put your hand for a moment and go to the Haftorah, just for 1 second, for Isaiah 54. And what does it says? Do you mind? Do you have Isaiah 50? Do you have it in English?
Yeah.
Isaiah 52:4.
Got it.
Let's read in English the first couple of verses, please.
Okay. Sing out, O barren one who has not given birth. Break out into glad song.
Who is the barren one?
Israel.
Israel is barren one. Okay, continue.
Sing out in glad song and be jubilant, O one who had no labor pains, for the children of the desolate, Jerusalem, outnumber the children of the inhabited city, said Hashem. Want me to keep going?
Yeah, I want.
Broaden the place of your tent. This is
Wow.
stretch out
There we
to
go.
the Gentiles
Here we
and
go.
the nations. Stretch out, hang on, broaden the place of your tent and stretch out the curtains of your dwelling.
Let me ask you a question. What is the broad and the surface? Arichi meitarai, stretch the cords. What is the place we're right here next to? It's called the Kinneret.
Oh yes, right.
Where the word Kinneret come from? Come from the word kino, violin. If you look at the Kinneret, it's in the shape of a violin.
Oh, I
So he's talking about
saw that.
stretching. And who is the one who stretched? Who is the one? Look at this prophecy. Who is the one who stretched the house of Israel?
Israel?
No, Yeshua.
Oh, well,
Yeshua is the one. No, this
I'm
is
thinking back to your
no,
question.
no. Yeshua is the one who stretched the violin by opening the kingdom for the Gentiles.
Yes, yeah.
Well, let's ask another.
But the Jews, but is what I was saying.
No, that's the job of
Israel
Israel.
needs to open
Of
the
course,
doors
and
bring
that's
them
what the
in
Torah,
and
yes.
teach them.
Yes.
But let's
Sorry, Matt.
ask another. Let's ask another who. For the children of the desolate one, Rashi says, this is the daughter of Edom.
Oh, that's an amazing.
So talking about the nations coming in and the spirit of Edom.
So you have a picture, but how is the nations coming in? Let's go back to the Torah portion. And you brought them to inside your homes. Friends, this is an important revelation. You need to share it. Israel have to bring it to their home. But Matt, if I'm bringing you to my home, hey, you better learn the home rules.
Right.
You better learn the house rules.
Well, and not just that, you mentioned about people feeling discouraged in their spiritual battle and them having a defeatist attitude. But here in the Haftarah, in verse 3 here, what Rashi says is, you shall prevail.
Yeah,
If we have the correct weapons in the Torah and the mitzvot,
it's going to be very dangerous to bring a stranger to your home.
Yes.
That's why Paul said you are no longer strangers or foreigners. But the second you come inside my home, you're still a little bit of a stranger.
Yeah.
It takes you a little bit a while to adjust, to get acclimated. There's an element of risk. Is this guy I'm bringing to my home, is he going to go crazy? And sadly, I must say, many Gentiles who are coming to the house of Israel, they're going crazy.
Yeah.
Well, and here's
Because they don't understand that they are supervised.
Yeah,
that's why you need a Jewish authority over the house.
Well, here's something interesting that happens in our modern world even. I know people that have rental properties. They rent their a home that they own out to other people, right? Here's the problem with renting. If you don't have ownership of the house, you treat it badly. The people that I know that rent out property, they have people that come in and they rent. They have no ownership in it. They just rent. Sometimes they destroy the house because they feel like, well, it's not mine. It's someone else's job to fix it. So I don't have to treat it with respect. If we who are coming into the house, if we only act like renters of the house, we might mess up the house and not care. We have to have some ownership.
No, and that's the key. He doesn't say that their husband shave her head. Notice it does not say, "Vegilcha et rosha." It is the job. It is her job. This is
her choice.
This is the choice, and that's why we say Gentiles are not under the Torah. Gentiles should not be put under the Torah. We should not put the Gentile under the. If you're not a not-Jew, you should choose it because one reason you want to be part of the house of Israel. People say to me all the time, "I'm not by default in the house of Israel because I accepted Jesus." No, you're not. If you don't follow the rules of the house of Israel, you're not in the house of Israel.
Right.
So I want you to know this because this is really a revelation. She is choosing to shave her head. He brought her in. Our job as Jews is to bring the Gentiles in. Okay? We need to fight and we need to win this battle because you know what? If we're not bringing them in, those Gentiles are going to turn to be our enemies. Guess what?
Well, guess that what? That's exactly what happened toward the end of the first century.
Yep. If we don't bring the nations in, they're going to turn against us.
Right.
You want to know some of the calamities that we have as Jews? I can say it as a Jew. Is because we fail to see the importance of inviting the Gentiles. So they always look at Jews as, well, those Jews they're stuck up and they're taking care of themselves and they don't care anybody else. And the reason is because we don't even understand the Torah. When he said extend, I got to get back to it. Extend your kino, your meitarim. What is it talking about? About what Yeshua did, man. He extended it, and by definition, we now have to continue the extension.
Yes.
But the question is to what house? Number one, do we want to bring them? I'm sorry, I heard a toxic theology coming out of Israel recently, and in a passage that we all are very, very familiar with, Zechariah chapter 8, a verse we all speak about many times. And it says there, and many nations come, and many going, verse 22 start, to seek the Lord God and see the face of God. And so said the Lord God, in those days, 10 Gentiles will hold the tzitzit, the kanaf of Ish Yehudi. There are some, especially here in the land of Israel, that says this is all fine and good, but this verse speaking about when Mashiach is here, when Messiah, we bring them in when Messiah is here, and when the temple stands. You know what's the problem with this theology? First of all, the problem with this theology is when Mashiach here, why do we need to do?
Really, it says in Jeremiah 31, everyone will know.
But there is more logical problem. If the covenant with the house of Israel and the house of Judah, and this is taking place after Mashiach come, they're already outside the covenant. So how are you going to bring them inside the covenant that they already established the covenant?
They have to, it's just like the woman. You bring her in, and then for 30 days, she is preparing.
So what is this 30 days? That's period of the 30 days is what we call the fullness of the Gentiles. The period of these 30 days is, and look what it says, she's crying. Why is she crying? Oh, Matt, no more Christmas. Oh, Matt, no more Easter egg hunts. Oh, Matt, no more cheeseburger. All the things I love. Oh, I love my cheeseburger. Oh, I love my pork chops. She's lamenting. Why is she lamenting? Because she has to change. She's changing.
And it's a lot of hard work.
Sure.
Yeah, so what can you both are from the nations, you were not raised in Judaism, neither one of you. You have made the transition. You have made the transition in your own personal walk. What is it that you can advise people about this 30 days period, this fullness period? I have a hard time imagining that it was easy for you either.
No, but I will say this. I think it more had to do with, and I think it's easy that it's 30 days and not 2 days, or 7 days. It's not so much that it's difficult, it's that it takes time.
Right.
It takes time.
Well, they say it takes 30 days to make a new habit.
It's a habit, yeah. Sure. I
Obviously,
honestly,
the 30 days is metaphoric here.
Of course it
yeah,
is.
but I
Of course.
don't look back and now at this point in my life, several years into this walk, I don't lament pork chops.
Yeah, me either.
I don't miss it. I don't miss
That's
a
not what you
cheeseburger.
told me yesterday.
That is not true. No, but I will say this: if I had to give up the kebab that you introduced me to, I would lament that.
Or what about the goose liver?
The goose liver.
Kosher grilled goose liver.
Yeah.
For me,
For you.
it was, well, I went through different stages. And the latter stage was the hardest. And that was actually physically moving to Israel.
Wow.
But,
That's like a physical step.
yeah. But I have to say,
I think it was harder for your Jewish husband. That's my personal opinion.
but I have to honestly say that, Hashem led me slowly, and pretty soon the tears stopped flowing. I mean, they do still flow. I still physically miss my family and things like that. But the joy of knowing Yeshua as a Jewish Messiah, as the Jewish King of Israel, the joy of learning Hebrew, the joy of better understanding of the Torah has so deepened and enriched my life that I'm like, I don't miss anything.
No.
I don't miss cheeseburgers. I don't miss anything anymore except
But at the same time, I say if people go too fast,
Oh yeah, you need to go slow.
Very slow.
if you go too fast, it's difficult.
This is a result of almost 13 years.
I think there is something just kind of between the line because after you brought her to the house, you notice that the man is not mentioned again.
That's right.
You notice? So I see kind of a hidden hint here. Hey, he let her be.
Yeah.
He let her kind of chill. He chilled out. He gave her the time to come to her own. Are you following what I'm saying? So this is an important part of it. We got to give the people the time to come to their own. It's not happening quite away,
Right.
Matt.
And one of the things that Chazal say is that one of the reasons that her nails were cut is so that she does not use those as a weapon against the husband.
Oh, wow.
So as she's coming in, little by little these changes are made, but every once in a while you might get defensive or whatever. And so it's taking time to be more peaceful and more...
But I wanted to notice something. You bring it to the house. There's a messenger to Messianic Judaism, in my opinion. I believe that Messianic Judaism is positioned today in a great place to bring Gentiles in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Messianic Judaism is supposed to be the bridge between the non-believing Jews, the normative Jews, however you want to call them, and the Christians.
Yes, but the question is, when we bring them in today, do we give them too much grace? Because if I can't bring it in and say, hey, I like the way you are, because that's what they say, yo, gender, just come as you are and stay as you were. This is a popular theology in Israel. But that's
a problem.
Well, if there are other inhabitants of the house, you notice what's going to happen? It will affect all the inhabitants of the house.
Well, look at how it
Let in
happens.
a little impurity and it affects everybody else.
Look at how it happens in the physical in my country. Okay? the idea of the United States was we have lots of different people from lots of different cultures coming into this country, but once you come in, you're supposed to adopt the new culture of this country.
Yes,
and the problems happen and divisions happen when people do not adopt the new culture.
Right.
They keep their own culture, and it's not,
And then
it's
people
antithetical.
they're fighting. They're not.
Right.
The whole purpose of this is for there to be unity.
well, yeah, well, and that's what
No,
I mean.
the purpose is actually to win the war.
Yeah.
The purpose is
Right,
spiritually to win the war. And they have two types, like we see with the word with the goyim,
Yes.
right? They mention with the word nispechu and the word sapacha.
Oh, right.
They can be our best friend, and they can be our best enemy. And what's going to determine whether or not they're going to be our best friend or our best enemy is the way we treat them.
Yeah.
If we treat them in such a way that we bring them in, we let them chill out,
Yes.
but still at the same time we explain to them that there is a very set rules, and people don't want that. You see, they want to come in and say, well, we're the owner of the house. You see the problem here? It's like this woman coming in and said, I am the owner of the house.
Right.
You want to know what's the problem with the Hebrew Roots movement? That's the problem.
They've taken ownership of the
But
house.
this is what happened with the early believers in Acts 15.
Yeah.
It was, you come as you are, but you're not going to stay that way.
Right.
And what they did was, in a measured way, you know what, we're going to start out with these 4 rules that are based on the Sheva Mitzvot,
Right.
because we know that you're going to
No,
eventually be coming in and coming in. They knew that it was going to be a process. So I like the idea of come as you are, but you're not allowed to stay that way.
That's right.
It's impossible.
Hey, that doesn't happen when a family adopts a child.
Right,
They
right,
don't
right.
let the adopted child just go run amok and do whatever it wants.
Right.
No, they slowly teach the child the rules
The
of
ways
the
of that
family,
family,
and then so they'll all look the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, but look, at the end of the day, you brought her, she changed her look, right?
Yeah.
You know, she changed her look. She doesn't look like she did before.
Right.
She's being transformed, and this is our real
Yes.
challenge to everybody watching.
Yeah.
Okay, you call yourself Messianic. How are you transformed? You should have two types of transformation: to the house of God, or the Son of God, Yeshua, and to the Son of God, Israel. You should look like the community of Israel,
Right.
and you should look like like Yeshua.
Exactly. And this is the challenge. People read the Brit HaDasha today without putting it fully in a Torah-centric context, so they don't know what Yeshua really looks like. And he looks, I'll tell you, back then, he was what we would have called a Hasidic, very Orthodox Jew.
Yeah, for sure.
But of course it was pure Orthodox Judaism, not like today.
Pharisaic Judaism back then.
Yeah.
But you know, it's interesting because from this point forward, boom, all the mitzvot are being poured on us.
Yeah.
You see, when the Jew and the Gentile are equally yoked, now you can win the battle together with the Torah.
Yes.
The Torah is the weapon. But if you bring in the woman, and the woman is not she's not abiding to the Torah.
You have to let her go.
And this is the thing, she's going through a process.
Yeah.
We call this process Giyur,
Exactly.
conversion of the heart.
That's right.
That's why he's saying,
Lev.
yeah, that's why what Or Chaim say here is so important. Say, what you're seeing here is the classic process of conversion.
Yep.
Now, we're not talking about the physical conversion.
No.
He's talking about a spiritual conversion that is taking place. He said, oh, we have some pretty good success with some conversion. The Messiah came to the world through a convert. Yeah?
That's right. Ruth.
Yeah. Was Ruth a convert? Well, Ruth was spiritually was converted.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. We don't know what it doesn't even matter. The point is her heart was converted, and she made that decision when she spoke the vow to Naomi. Where you go, I will go. Where you live, I will live,
But look at
etc.
all of these Gentiles that come in through a process of Giyur of the heart.
They're basically saying the same thing.
That all these people that are in Messiah's family tree that
That's
come
right.
in.
Naaman.
Absolutely.
Jeroboam's Jeroboam's mother.
Yes.
I get them confused.
So, and Naaman was King Solomon's wife.
Right,
Naaman.
but what son was hers? Was it Jeroboam?
Hold on a second. Let me get this
Okay,
thought
fine,
because
okay.
now let me connect the dot for you.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Later in the portion, we get a very important mitzvah, and I want you to pay attention to it in the context of prophecy. In verse 6, 22:6, it says, Ki ikare ken hatzipor, the birdness lefanecha baderech, b'chol עת. If you see a birdness on the way, and all the way, or on the ground, take the efrochim, and on the egg, the nestling of the egg, but don't touch the mother.
This is my favorite mitzvah, by the way.
Have you ever done it?
Beautiful mitzvah.
No, I've never done it, but I mean, it's my favorite to learn about and talk about. There's such an amazing thing.
Well, the am here, as you see the word here, am is acronym Eliyahu and Mashiach.
Wow.
It is also acronym for Aaron and Moshe. We call to be Jews, we are called to a unique calling as Jews. And it doesn't mean that the Gentiles will like us any less just because we live our life as Jews. Step number 2, this is important because people here think that they need to become Christians, especially in Israel, in order to be liked by the body of Messiah. Well, no. You have to be a Jew.
Would you rather be liked or would you rather bring Yeshua back?
Wow.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Step number 2, after that, we have to bring in the goy. Please don't bring them into a house of lawlessness. Have you ever been in a house of lawlessness?
Yeah.
Have you ever went to a house and it's a chaos, like, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
We're bringing to the right house. This is the Jewish mandate. What is the non-Jewish mandate? The non-Jewish mandate is to really to be coming in and to really to be able to transform as a free will. That's why you're not under the Torah. You're not under the Torah, but you can choose to live your life with the covenants of Israel. It's a choice you can make.
We need to choose to cut ourselves from our own roots, the roots that we were born into.
The woman clearly cut
and
herself.
join to the house of Israel.
All right, Matt, I'll give you last word. What a great study this is.
Yeah.
Anything you want to add? As a word of encouragement, perhaps, to our audience?
Well, a word of encouragement and a word of challenge. Because the Bible says that a woman's glory is in her hair, right? In her long hair, a woman has her glory. As the Apostle Paul says about, and in this same Torah portion, it talked about how a man is not to dress in a woman's garment.
Actually, it says it in this Torah portion,
exactly.
which is talking about, by the way, I should say that this is huge. We don't even need to touch it. We cannot have a role reversal where the Gentile is the Jew and the Jew is the Gentile.
Right.
Yesterday we were debating with our friend, and he said, well, I'm a
Jew.
I'm a follower of Christ. I am a Jew. No, you are not a Jew.
Yeah.
You are a follower of Messiah. You can say you're part of the house of Israel, Commonwealth of Israel, but it doesn't make you Jewish.
Right.
And I know a lot of people watching us today, they get angry. Oh, you're religious. It's not the issue for Elisis. The Jewish people have a calling to bring in the nation.
And so do we have just as important a calling.
Yes.
To provoke the Jewish people to return to their God, to
actually,
Messiah.
if you want to take it, the story even a step further, the woman comes, she takes a new identity,
exactly,
and then she provoked the husband, and that's why the gospel, Matt, call a mystery.
But this is what's interesting. So how do you think? So the woman chooses to make these changes, but one of the things that she does is shave her head.
That's right.
This is a humility. This is a thing where if you come into this identity, there's going to be a lack of confidence in yourself for a moment. There's going to be if I strip myself of everything that has been my identity, imagine the big deal that it is for a woman to shave her head.
You go from McEwen to McCoy.
Exactly. So if she does that, imagine one of the reasons that she's mourning is that her beauty is going away. It's not about finding beauty in myself. It's about I'm taking on a new beauty, a deeper beauty, a different identity.
Look, let's bring the Gentiles, but let's bring them to the right house.
Amen.
But first we need to figure who we are as Messianic Jews.
Yeah.
This is why we are doing the teaching we are doing. We identify who is Yeshua. We identify as our rabbi. We establish our identity through him. We establish our identity then through Judaism. First through Yeshua, then through Judaism. We win the battle inside as Jews, so that you Gentiles can come in and win the battle outside, together with the house of Israel. The bottom line, you should rejoice if you see Jewish people coming to know the Messiah while remaining faithful to the Torah. You should be thankful and rejoiceful for that. Now, we talked today about something, but I think this, Dvorah, in conclusion, that's pretty much hitting pretty close to home, huh?
Oh yeah, very.
How much this study is a reality of what's happening here in Israel.
We just studied not only my personal life, but my life here in Israel.
Isn't it amazing that it's happening in Parashat Ki Tetse?
And this Torah portion falls every year during the month of Elul, when we read Psalm 27, when we sound the shofar, asking God to remember us for mercy, not judgment, because of all the mistakes that we have made, and I've made plenty. But the thing is this is what life, this Jewish identity is like.
So here's our challenge to you. Are you willing in the last days to take off your garment, humble yourself, shave your head, take on your new identity, cut your nails, and never attack the Jewish people again? And in that, you will become a member of the house of Israel. And through that, you will provoke your husband. In this case, the husband is like the Jewish people, Israel.
Yeah.
So that the family will be united, the new house will be established, and Messiah will come. This is our challenge to you. If you're blessed by this study, share, support, give it to others. This is Life from Israel. God bless you. A little out.